We'll go ahead and get started tonight. And Renee, please show all board members except for Mr. Hall present tonight. If you'll join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next item is the approval of the agenda tonight. Any changes, board or Dr. Hare? None?
Move to approve as presented.
All right, thank you, Ms. Gilkey.
Second.
And thank you, Ms. Kraft. All in favor? Be 6-0, thank you. Next is the public comments on agenda items. I believe we had one tonight. Mr. McLaughlin. Good evening.
Thank you, members of the board, ladies and gentlemen, fellow staff members, administrators. I'm here tonight to talk about the contract that's before you with the master agreement with the Teachers Association. First, I'd like to comment on the sad circumstance of bargaining under our current legislative sessions, statutory regime. We cannot bargain when we want to bargain, and this applies both to administration and associations. We cannot contract for the term of agreement we might want to agree to contract for. We are subject to the whims of the legislature year to year for the amount of money we might or might not get, a figure that's not provided to us until after the statutory bargaining period. There could not be a more inane system. But the contract we have finally agreed on is a good contract. I'm here to encourage you to vote in favor of it. It has re-emphasized or underscored the importance of experience and education to teachers. It has re-emphasized the importance of a graduating salary step schedule and different paths based on degrees in education. It has given full support to what was formerly the system of steps. It enables teachers to have some general idea of where they are and where they can get. All good things for your teachers. It also carries with it an emphasis on continuing education. It also allows teachers the freedom to choose how they will get that education and what it will mean to them, either through a point system or a degree system. Overall, it is a good contract, and I would strongly encourage you to vote in favor of it when presented today. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next item is board planning. We have a Ford NGL update. I think that's Dr. Hare.
That's me, board. Just a quick update video might explain or answer the question why.
Hey, bud, remember, if you need anything, we're just a phone call away.
Don't forget to register for classes just as soon as they open, okay?
Okay, Mom, Dad, relax. I'm going to make the most of these 4 years in school. I have a plan. Freshman year, I'm only going to take intro courses or easier classes. Just kind of like whatever I feel like. Definitely nothing with a writing assignment, though.
But I thought you were majoring in English.
No, that's just going to be my first major. Sophomore year, I plan on changing it like at least 3 more times. And eventually, I'm just going to choose the one that I have the most number of credits in and has the least number of classes before noon. Which actually won't even make much of a difference anyway, because I won't be going all that much. You won't be going to classes? Academics aren't necessarily going to be my focus, if you know what I mean. Yeah.
Your mother and I think that you should have a more well-rounded experience than just partying.
No, of course, Dad. I'm on top of it. Junior year, I'm going to study abroad in a foreign country that is rich with culture. But I'm only going to hang out with other Americans. Mom, come on. Senior year, I'm going to turn it all around. I'm going to take a summer course, I'll change my major one more time, and then maybe I'll have enough credits to almost graduate on time. Almost.
Well, As long as you graduate with a plan, that's all that matters.
Well, after graduation, I'm going to realize that the real world and trying to find a job where I can pay off tens of thousands of dollars in student debt is just way too scary. So I'm going to go into grad school. I'm going to hide out there for a couple of years. And that's where I'm really going to rack up the debt. Like, rack it up, you guys. I am so excited for my future.
So that's what we hope the path we don't send our students down. And that's what this is all about, is that they graduate with high school with a plan. And it is okay to change their mind along the way, but to change their mind and know why they're going to change it. Board, as you're aware, we have had the steering committee. We've met once. And TZ and TP, they're on the steering committee. We have 3 meetings. The second one is scheduled for next Tuesday. Quickly, the results of the first steering committee, we started to talk about the master plan. That's part of what we do with Ford Next Gen is develop the master plan. And we're actually starting at phase 3, which is that's the outcome and the plan phase. So we had a lot of conversation about that. That conversation was built around discovering the NGL tactics. And there are 18 tactics, and what the tactics do is they describe different pieces to this process. And then as a group, we define what are the pieces that we really want to focus on. So there were 18. I think we've kind of decided we were going to focus on 8, and now the work really begins with those 8. We talked about implementing those initiatives and the timeline to that. This will kind of develop what will be the priorities we'll have in our high schools for the next 2 years. There is a piece of continuous improvement. We'll continually monitor this as we go through. So really a chock full day that we spent on that. Since that meeting, we've also taken a team, and I was fortunate enough to be one of the 10 educators and community members. We went to Nashville. I think some of you board have been there, and we've sent a couple of teams prior. We're going to send another team next year. But there we got to see 2 different high schools and how the academies were at work. We got to see it firsthand. We had a great meeting with the folks at Ford. They were able to really spend 2 or 3 quality hours with us to talk about that. And the whole thing is the relevancy. And board, you've heard that over and over. It's the relevancy. You know, when kids say, why do we need to know this? These are the answers. This is how you'll use it in those academies. So we had that. And I would say to you, board, the 3-hour ride home was probably as productive as anything, because there we got to talk about what are the teachers doing, what are the educators doing from a business community. You know, this doesn't mean anything to me, but this would. So we really had a great conversation on the ride home, taking it in, because it was a lot. They keep you hopping from the time you start early in the morning at 7 and you don't end until 7 or 8 o'clock. And it was a good conference. And we spent some good time with that. The last thing that I wanted to brief you on is the next steps. Again, we are meeting again next Tuesday, and you know we've already talked to Star Herman with Ford and putting together the agenda. We will start to define the characteristics of a graduate, a Greater Clark graduate. You know, what is it that we want our graduates to look like? We'll start to define the academies, and those are the pathways that we have used. And then those 8 tactic teams will break apart into those teams and start doing the work where they'll start creating, staging, and phasing the different pieces. So a lot of work still ahead of us. It's a lot of good work, and we'll just continue to keep the board informed. And of course, after we have the 3 meetings, we'll come back with a full-blown report. But just kind of want to give you a brief update tonight, kind of where we were with Ford NGO. So any questions? And I'll have Dr. Griffin help me too if there are any questions, if you guys have any questions.
I think you said we're taking a team again next year. We're taking a team next week, aren't we?
We're taking a team next week to see the career fair.
Okay, so it's what you're talking about.
It's a little bit different.
Here?
What it is the career fair in Nashville has not taken the place of a college fair, but rivals it. So they do the career fair early on. And again, it's that whole concept of this is the career I might be interested in. Okay, now what is the education I need? What are the schools I need to look at? And we have some of our businesses at our college fair, but I don't know that we do just a career fair. And I think this is something that we'll look into, how they do it, what it looks like. It's a pretty big scale, and they were kind enough really to invite us down to see it. So
it's great.
Dr. Griffin's going to take a team down next week.
Travis, are you in a position, or do you have them written down, the 8 pieces that we've decided to focus on?
You know what? I don't have all 8 of them written down, but
Whatever you can remember.
you help me here, but some of them are the academy, each academy coach, family and community learning, so what we need to do with families, and then with the community and businesses. PD, the freshman academy, wall-to-wall academy, mentoring. That's 6 of the 8.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
I wrote down a handful just so I could give you examples if you asked that question, but I didn't write down the 8. So
That's okay.
but we'll get it to you. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All
I
right.
will tell you, we've got 8 teams, and everybody's been assigned to a team, and we're ready to rock and roll.
It's exciting.
Student leadership, that's the last one.
Nice.
All right. Further questions? Okay. Next is policy review. I don't think we have any of those queued up for tonight, so we'll move on into the budget report, and I think we'll start with the fund monitoring report, and that will be Dr. Dykle. Good evening.
What you have before you, it's kind of small, and I'm sorry. Try to get as many months in there as possible. The general fund, nothing new and exciting in there. We received $5.6 million over the course of the month. We spent $5.6 million. We're looking to have an ending cash balance of about $772,000 as of December 31st, 2016. So there's really been no activity in debt service. We did receive $32,000 in revenue, but no expenditures, no activity in pension debt. In capital projects, we received the local option income tax, so that was the biggest revenue that we received there of $26,000. We spent in September $976,000. We're projecting an end of the year cash balance just under $1 million, $997,000. In transportation operating, county option income tax for about $15,600 was the biggest revenue. We spent $582,000. We're projecting an end of the year cash balance of $607,000. Bus replacement fund, we only had $4,000 come in local option income tax, and the expenditure was $286,000 because we ended up paying for some of the buses that came in. So we're looking at about a $115,000 cash balance at the end of the year. And then the rainy day fund, we had a couple expenditures come out. So we're looking at a cash balance of $4,267,000. So if you have any questions, we're fluid, we have cash, we're good. That's good, I'm happy.
So are we.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
And we did record that when he said he was happy.
That he was happy. We got that.
Got that.
All right, we'll move on into the student clinic update, and Dr. Hare.
Yeah, Mr. Pavey, Board, this is the first quarter, the details of the 2 clinics that we give you. Wanted to draw your attention to the top line. Charlestown High School, they saw 161 students in the clinic the first 9 weeks. That's up from 103. So really seeing utilization at Charlestown High School. We are down about 15 at Jeffersonville High School, but what is not in that is Jeffersonville High School did 105 sports physicals for us.
Oh, wow.
So we did utilize them in a little different way, but we didn't want to confuse those statistics. You will see that under new patients, there's almost 80% of the students we saw were new patients. We think that's a move in the right direction. All of the clinic utilization and the forms, you'll remember, Board, in the past we've talked about those were not online during registration. They were this year, so the amount of forms that we have turned in were up almost 20% as a district. So we see an increase in that as well. So we really feel like continuing to move in the right direction. The only other high number that I would bring your attention to a little bit is you'll see sent home is 53%, and that's a little bit higher than what we normally would see. But we had a kind of a breakout of strep throat. So we had a lot of strep that we saw in the clinic and during the first 9 weeks, and sent a lot of those students home. We did have, I want to share those good stories, we did have out of the Jeffersonville Clinic, a student that came in back in August with acute abdomen pain, and he was the nurse practitioner sent him, said you probably need to go to the hospital and have it checked out. It ended up being appendicitis. He had an appendectomy, and within 72 hours of being seen at the clinic, he had had the appendectomy and was already actually back home. So I mean, it's one of those things that when we catch them early, we're able to get them home and back to school quicker, and really do a lot of good things for kids. So continue, I think, to move in the right direction. And there you will see the students by grade in the schools, and it continues to be more that the top 5 schools come out of Charlestown and then Jeffersonville High School. So I think our challenge is that we continue to spread the word to our Jeffersonville elementaries and middle schools, and try to increase that participation. So be happy to take questions.
Well, I had one that I'm looking at your student seen by school chart, and I guess looking through all the elementaries and the middles, how is the transportation going on that? Is that mostly parents bring them to the high school, or is that us providing some type of transportation?
You know, we've had that conversation before. I think it's just so much more convenient at Charlestown because of the logistics. The parents are providing a lot of that transportation. We are still providing the transportation from Jeffersonville. Primarily what you're seeing here, the parents are doing it, but we have sent Mr. Green out, and he will go pick those students up. So not as much of us transporting as the parents. Certainly, I think it's the proximity at Charlestown that makes that just a little easier to use.
It's encouraging to see that they're picking the kids up and actually taking them up to the clinic.
They really, we get rave reviews from the nurse practitioner up there. We get them both places, but I think she's developed a name for herself in Charlestown, and they're pleased with what they're seeing there.
All right, further questions? No? All right. Okay, we'll move into student achievement. We have the SIG grant, and be Dr. Griffin. Good evening.
Thank you, Mr. Pavey.
Oh, and Ms. Dyer.
Yes. We, as we mentioned at our last board meeting, we were very excited to share the news and get your support for acceptance of the school improvement grant that River Valley and their team so that worked very hard to earn. And so what we'd like to do this evening is turn it over to Principal Dyer, who's going to share with you some specifics of the grant.
Good evening. Thank you for allowing me to speak. It's with great excitement that I tell you about money that we're going to receive, right? That's a good thing. You're close so that you can unplug the mic when I'm done. They told me I only had so many minutes, so I'll try to keep it short. I want to start by telling you that this grant would not have been possible without the help of several people in this room, and I'd like to thank them. Amy, we worked on it last year, and we weren't successful last year, but her work, and then Dr. Griffin helping this year, and my staff. Would my staff please stand, those of you that are here?
Oh, my.
This grant is totally possible because these people are ready to take it to the next level, and that's what SIG is telling us. We are cohort 7, and they are telling us that we're going to get to go and be a school to watch. And Dr. Griffin has a saying that we're going to be green in 17. At Valley, we say Valley is the place to be. So that's what we're going to do. If you'll go ahead. I wanted to give you an overview of the grant. We were funded for $1,340,000.
Wow.
$340,179.40. I got to tell you, that 40 cents, I'm going to watch every penny of that 40 cents. You give out millions of dollars and you worry about 40 cents, you know they're going to be watching what we're doing. So we're ready for it. We have been in email contact with them, but our first on-site visit is October the 28th, when they're actually coming to Greater Clark to visit with our other schools who are SIG schools, which are Bridgepoint and Parkview. And so our plan really had 3 main components. The first one being staff development. We have a great staff, the best in Greater Clark, but I know how, you can't say that because they'll think that you're, playing favorites, but they are. And so we have the best staff, and they're working so hard. And so what this allows us to do is continue the model that we've been doing this year with our literacy framework, our numeracy framework, and just taking it to that guided instruction. We know that when 30 children are in a classroom, they're not all at the same level. So how can we best meet the needs of all of the learners in that room and make the growth that we have to make? And so our plan allows for a lot of work with that guided instruction coaching model. The corporation, as I said, Parkview, we learned some of their lessons. We borrowed a lot of their stuff because it's a great plan. And so one of the things that their SIG grant provided for was an extra coach. They now have a math coach and a literacy coach. And because we are a priority school and this corporation is supporting the priority schools, you guys went ahead and did that for us without the SIG money, and we really appreciate that. So we have Lindsay, who's our math, my AIC and our math coach, and then Shelley Doherty, who is now our literacy coach full-time. So we were able to go ahead and start the year with that culture in our building, so we're ready for that next step. So the professional development is going to be much more consistent, much more focused, and ongoing. We're also tying it in, we're now going to be able to pay our staff to do some of that pretty intensive Ford NGL training. That's a part of that. We put that in as a part of leadership development in the grant. Another part is community development, and I don't mean that to say that we're going to develop our community, but we know that we cannot go next step in this journey without our parents. So a part of the grant allotted a salary for our parent community liaison that does not work a normal school day. Will come in later in the day and spend time in the after hours so that if parents need a resource, if they need to come in and use the resources in our building, we have somebody on staff that's going to be able to do that. Also provide some wraparound services for our students and our families. We currently in our contract have one parent-teacher conference. We've asked for the 5 years of our grant that our teachers could be paid to do conferences in the spring, just to make sure that we really get to those intensive students and our families. Also, you've graciously provided for us to do home visits for our kindergarten, 6th and 9th grade students. We wrote into our grant we would like to visit all of River Valley students, as many as we can get to before school starts. So we're going to have to see how that's going to work out and look, but we may be going out into the community here in July. So. And then the third part is student development, and yeah, we like the picture. It's one of our favorites now. JT put all that together, and but we currently have of course intercession, and so for us we are able to invite 10% of our population, but under this grant with SIG, what we asked for funding for was to invite as many as we possibly could get in. The other part is the after-school intervention and enrichment for students. We wanted to open it up for all students, not just those students who are in need, but bring in some community resources to do some things that would enrich as well as intervene, and then the transportation piece, which is so crucial for us. Our families work very hard to provide for their students, and they can't always pick them up at 4 o'clock, which is a convenient time for us. So a big part of the funding that we put in there was for transportation to be provided so that students could stay for the activities and then be transported. And that's the overview. If you have questions, I can probably make it up, or I'm going to answer them. Say it that way.
I was able to be included in the final phone conversation with the state before they were chosen, and I think the most amazing thing to me, besides you could tell the work that went into this, is the number of staff members that showed up that day for the phone conversation. I mean, it only had to really be the superintendent and the principal and Steve and a board member and a couple of your teachers who worked on it. We filled the room. You filled the room. So to me, that meant that everybody was all in. And I think the committee must have seen that too.
It was one of the comments I got when they called to tell me the good news. I mean, it was a great fall break present. They called me on Friday before the start of fall break. And who doesn't want to go to fall break with $1 million? Right? And 40 cents, absolutely. And so they said one of the things that, they listed the strengths of our plan and then the highlights. And one of the things was the commitment by our staff to know that just for a phone conference, so many of them showed up. And then tonight, I just sent it out to the staff and said, we're talking about SIG tonight. If you can come, great. And you saw how many of the River Valley staff showed up. We're in this to win this, so.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Michelle.
May I give you 60 cents so you won't have to deal with that?
Any day, bring it on.
Just so we don't have to deal with 40
That will be
cents.
my first question when they come on site, the 28th.
Michelle, I'm not going to speak for the board, but I personally would be more than happy to accompany your staff for some of those home visits.
No problem.
So please let me know when those are going to be.
I'm already we're trying to figure out how we can just do River Valley, because now we do whatever grade levels on the path, but
Sure.
we want to do River Valley, so. And I'm very exciting, our enrollment is up to 920, so it's the place to be, I'm just saying.
And can you tell me when you post the parent community liaison position, how do you envision that?
Well, and it's an excellent question, because the first time we submitted the grant, we actually submitted a job description that went with that. For this grant, they didn't ask us for job descriptions, but we're looking at, it's really hard. It's probably somebody that really walks on water, to be honest with you, someone who has the time to build those relationships and has the community connections to bring in those resources that we need. Because we have several resources in our community that we just don't take advantage of because we're not aware of them, or we can't get students to them, and with this transportation. And I think the key piece to this is having somebody that doesn't have to leave the building at 4 o'clock, that will be there till 7 o'clock, so that the building can stay open for our families if they need to use it. And so that's what we're looking for. And someone who can help with tutoring, obviously, and some interventions. So a jack of all trades, really.
Maybe a retired teacher?
A retired teacher would be phenomenal. Absolutely.
Well, I think that's very innovative, and I would look forward to seeing what kind of a response and how much use you're able to get out of that.
It has to be one of the linchpins of our plan.
Yes.
Because we do professional development. We talk about what we need to do instructionally with our teachers. We have ground to cover, but we talk about that continuously. And so this just supports that and helps us do some extra things with that. But this community piece, making sure that families feel welcome and supported in our school, is really going to get us that next step.
Thank you.
Now, did I understand, I know you all were this close to getting it last year.
That is correct.
And did I understand that you put a team together that went up to Influence, Strong Arm, whatever the state, figure out?
Lobby.
Lobby's a good one. They have a set of steps. There's a webinar they want you to watch, you learn about it, and then they call it on-site technical assistance. And so this year when we did on-site technical assistance, it was myself and Dr. Griffin and Leslie and Lindsay, and we went they sat across the table from us, and we bombarded them with and kept throwing paper at them and talking to them about it. So they could have felt threatened. I won't say they did, but no. Yes, they answered a lot of our questions. They were able to use the rubric from the last plan we turned in and really tell us those specific areas that we needed to tweak for them.
Yeah. I think that's pretty ingenious to take that initiative to go up and find out what it was that you missed on the last time. So again, congratulations.
Begging was a part of it too, am I going?
Well, whatever. It's negotiating skills, right?
Right.
All right, further questions? All right, well, thank you. Great update. All right, we'll move into the consent agenda. We have 5 items on tonight. I'd like to take those together.
Move to approve.
Thank you, Mr. White.
Second.
And thank you, Ms. Perkins. Any questions, comments on consent agenda items? All right, all in favor? Be 6-0, thank you. Ms. Kraft, would you take us through gifts to buildings?
Yes. Looks like we have received $622.85. A little down from normally, but we had fall break and we had intercession and we had lots of other things. I'm just amazed at the PTOs and the great work that they do. Of course, I'm a big PTO fan, and so you hear that from me a lot. But then I think that involves parents, and parents have to be involved in their kids' life. I just like to make a motion that we gladly accept the $622.85.
All right, thank you, Ms. Kraft. Thank you, Ms. Zolman. Questions, comments on gifts to buildings? All right, all in favor? Be 6-0, thank you. Move into action items. The first item on the agenda tonight is revisions to the Neola policies. This is a second reading tonight, so we will take action on it. And good evening, Ms. Lewis.
Good evening. Yes, this evening that you will be asked to approve the Neola policies that were presented for first reading in September. And no changes have been made to any of those policies that were originally presented. We have about 70-plus policies for your consideration. They've been in board docs for your review since they were originally posted for the September meeting. Some of them are just language changes for clarification purposes and really don't impact the meaning of the policies. Others are updates in the policies due to legislative changes in the Indiana Code. And then we had 7 policies that we originally, when we were reviewing them, didn't think we really needed, but after talking with our Neola representative, decided to go ahead and adopt them. Their attitude, it's better to have them in place even if you don't need them, because there might be that one time that comes up that it's necessary. So it's been a big process. It's taken a while to get there, but I think we're on target now. We really like our new Neola representative, Dr. Jim Halleck, and I have to publicly thank Pam Maple. She's my executive assistant, and she is the one, I mean, we spend the time with different administrators looking at these policies, tweaking these policies, but it's Pam who actually takes them and manipulates them, and she gets them in a clerical and organizational manner so that they can go into the Neola system. And that takes a lot of time and effort and consideration on her part. She tries to proofread them to make sure we've dotted our I's and crossed our T's. So she is awesome, and I really just wanted to go on record of thanking her. She puts a major amount of time, and I think she's doing a great job. So at this point in time, the superintendent recommends approval of the policies as presented. And I will add one thing. Because of the negotiation process that we went through with bargaining, we still have this as a corporation discussion item, all of these policies. And if our union representatives were to determine that there was a policy that we have included in these 70 plus that needs some further discussion or consideration, we will do that through corporation discussion.
Okay. All right. We have a motion.
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Perkins. Thank you, Ms. Solomon. Any questions, comments on the Neola policies tonight? All right. All in favor? Be 6-0. Thank you. Next is the approval of the 2016-17 master contract for Greater Clark Education Association.
I want to echo John's comments. I think we've put together a good contract. Our timelines are very short nowadays. You know, it's really changed since I first started down the bargaining process with all of our union groups. It is frustrating because it's such a hurry up, hurry. There's always margins for errors in the contracts, but we hammered this one out, and in the board action data sheet that you received, we outlined pretty much all of the changes. But the biggest one, as John indicated, was the one that provides the protocol for consideration for teachers to move through the salary level, and it's a change. Used to be you just went up your step based on your years of service, and now it's based on performance, educational attainment, and/or years of service and leadership. And included in that contract, and I would urge everyone to take a look at it, there's a protocol set out as to how you get your performance, how you get your leadership points. It's pretty simple to go through and read. And we've made some changes this year because we're kind of implementing it mid-year, but it is a good contract. And the salary adjustments that we're making, they will go into effect as of January 2017, and the compensation change will be paid from January to June 30. And it applies to people that are employed at the time that adjustment goes into effect. We're not doing any retroactive application to that. But I wanted to thank John as the president of the union, Justin Snelling, Lori Gavin, Ron Calabro, Rhonda Holsteller, Nick Weiss, and Tina Tetzloff Wallace as members of their bargaining team. They're a great group of people to work with. You know, we work hard, but we also have some fun. Certainly Dr. Mellon was our chief spokesperson, Travis Hare, Tom Dykle, Steve Griffin, Kim Hartledge, Ann Schneff, Julie Strait, and Mark as our board liaison. So at this point in time, the superintendent is recommending that you approve the master contract. It's a one-year contract with the Greater Clark Education Association.
Okay, thank you.
So moved.
All right, thank you, Ms.
Second.
Perkins, and thank you, Ms. Gilkey. Questions, comments on the contract? Well, I'll go with a comment. Again, I'd like to thank both parties. Been involved in a few of these in my job, and they're never easy, and a lot of give and take, and I'm just thrilled that we could get both sides together in the environment that we are in today, as John mentioned, and nice job. So with that, all in favor? Be 6-0. Thank you. All right, we'll move on to land purchases in Charlestown.
We're really excited about these land purchases, and just to give you a little background on it, we've been looking for a number of years of ways to kind of end the land lock that we have at Charlestown High School. I mean, you know, we don't have a lot of ways to go this way, this way, this way, but there is a strip on Monroe Street of properties that back up to Charlestown High School that we thought that area would be very valuable in future site development. And so we wanted to see if we could possibly acquire those properties in that area. And we started this process a couple of years ago, actually. And, you know, number one, first of all, we had to decide how we were coming up with the money. And so then we decided that we would work through the bonding process and get the money available. And then we had to go through the appraisal process. And according to Indiana law, you have to have two, in order for us to buy a piece of property, we have to have 2 appraisals performed by licensed appraisers. They have to meet certain qualifications to perform those appraisals for us. Then the maximum amount of money that we can offer to anyone to purchase their property is the average of those 2 appraisals. So we got the appraisals completed on 3 parcels of property. We actually have them completed on 4, but we've got one we're kind of pending on right now. We had 3 parcels that we got the appraisals on. We averaged the properties. We put conditional offers of purchase together. We went out and met Dr. Mellon and Travis, basically met with all of the people we're bringing forward this evening. They had the opportunity to consider our offer to them, and then we followed up with them, and all of them accepted our offers. We have 3 properties. The first one's at 1264 Market Street, and it's 3.81 acres. The other one is 1028 Monroe Street, and it is 0.25 acres. The next one's 1030 Monroe Street, and it is 0.26 acres. The total value based on the appraisals is $416,000, and we are asking that the board approve the purchase of these properties at this time.
Okay, thank you.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Ms. Kraft.
Our Charlestown person's not here, so I'll pretend like I'm the Charlestown.
It's true.
Second.
All right, thank you, Ms. Gilkey. Any questions on the land purchases up in Charlestown? Looks good. It's been a long time in the coming. And now, as far as the fees for realtors and all that, is that included in this? Is this outside of that?
We didn't have to have the realtors.
It was
We
just-
dealt with it ourselves.
Gotcha.
We handled scheduling the appraisals, so that's an expense to us. And then priority title, Mr. Steve Palmquist and Susan King will handle the real estate closings for us. And so we didn't have to go through a realty company to do any of these purchases. We basically negotiated them on our own behalf.
Good deal. All right, all in favor? Be 6-0. Thank you.
Thank you. One more cool thing, legal term, about these purchases is these are all 3 properties in a row. So once we acquire them and then we decide what we're going to do. Well, the two other properties are side by side. There's another one we're still negotiating with that's also on Monroe Street. And then the one on Market Street is over on the back side of the high school. And it's a nice piece of property that could possibly be some type of an athletic field at some point in the future. So we're excited about the way we're amassing these parcels together. Thank you.
Good, thank you. Next is the lease agreement with the Kentucky Center for the Arts for Jeffersonville High School.
Yes, Board, this is due to the renovation with the auditorium at Jeffersonville High School, and I don't know if you've been by over fall break, but if you haven't been in there, you should swing by and see it because there is nothing left. The seats were all gone, the carpet is gone, those concrete walls are down. It's amazing how much work they were able to do at Jeffersonville High School. They did a lot of work at Parkwood, and they finished Pleasant Ridge's parking lot. So we had a lot of great work done over fall break, but due to that renovation project, the auditorium is not available for the high school theater department's production of Bring It On, the musical, and we were able to lease the Baumgard Theater at Kentucky Center for the Arts on November 26th and 27th, and this is the lease agreement. Would ask for your approval at this time.
Move to approve.
Thank you, Ms. Gilkey.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Perkins. Any questions, comments on the agreement?
I would say this really fits in beautifully with our career readiness. Here are kids in high school that will get to be on the stage at the Center for the Arts. That's an experience.
It's going to be a neat opportunity.
Yes, and so they can see what it's really going to be like and decide, maybe I want to do this and maybe I don't want to do this. It's a wonderful opportunity for them. And I'm so glad that the auditorium is a wreck. I've been asking it to be for a wreck a long time. Good.
It's a wreck.
Good. That's a good thing.
Sure going to miss those seats from the 70s, no doubt. So, all right, all in favor? Be 6-0. Thank you. Thank you. All right, next is the adoption of the CY 2017 budget. Dr. Dykle?
Yes, 2 board meetings ago, we had a very long presentation on the budget process. It was quite boring. What do you mean, Last board meeting, I kind of livened it up, a little graphics there, just to show you that accountants can have fun too. So what we have here in your packet is, Form 1, and that's all of what we put on the Indiana Gateway system. You can go to the Indiana Gateway system and see our whole complete budget. We also have Form 4, which basically summarizes everything. We're hoping to adopt $1 million rainy day fund budget, general fund of $70,295,121, debt service of $10,320,485, school pension $1,259,000, capital projects $6,472,000, transportation $5,947,000, bus replacement $1,904,000. Total tax rate that we're advertising or we're adopting is $1.2323. It'll be a lot less than that once we get it approved because our property taxes, our levy will go down. Also included in this packet is a tax neutrality resolution where it requires a school corporation to reduce the levy for one or more of its funds by amount equal to the levy for debt service on its taxable general obligation pension bonds of 2004. So we're asking that the first thing they hit to make it revenue neutral is capital projects. That's also in there. And then we also have an expenditure goals resolution showing that we are trying to increase the school corporation's allocation of taxpayer resources directly to student instruction and learning in light of the unique circumstances present in the school corporation. So those are the things that I need you to approve tonight for the first one.
Board, would it appease everyone if we took all 3 of these in one motion? And I'll make that motion, and then you can finish your presentation, and after we get a second.
Okay.
Second.
All right, thank you, Ms.
Okay. Then you have capital projects fund plan, and again, you have a resolution to adopt the 2017-2019 capital projects fund plan. Again, in your packet, There's a big thick by every school that shows what we're doing for the next 3 years at every school. And then the last one is adoption of the 2017 bus replacement plan, and in there is our 12-year plan for that, and an adoption, a resolution to adopt the bus replacement plan. So that's everything that I have for you. Thank you for doing it all as one.
All right.
You're welcome.
Thanks for no more dancing icons, so.
I like the little question marks rotating.
Unique, anyway.
They were great. All right. Any questions, comments on items 5, 6, and 7? All right. All in favor? Be 6-0. Thank you. All right, moving into discussion items. Any tonight from the board? No? Okay. Any reports or requests? Public comments on non-agenda items?
No, sir.
I don't believe we had any tonight. Okay. So we are down to board comments. So, Mr. White?
I have nothing, thank you.
All right. Ms. Perkins?
Just an additional congratulations to River Valley. I know you're going to do great things.
Ditto on that for River Valley. They do a wonderful thing. And also, I'm glad everybody's back from their fall break. I think they had a wonderful fall break, but I think everybody was ready to come back. So good luck for the next agenda.
All right. Ms. Kraft?
Yes, and what a blessing the River Valley principal is. And, of course, I'm partial. My kids all graduated from there, and it was a good school then. But we won't talk about how many years ago it was. So now it's going to be even better, and I can't hardly wait. So good for you, and congratulations, and I'm looking forward to wonderful things out of River Valley this year, and everybody else. And I appreciate everybody out here, because you've chosen a profession that is very, very difficult and much more different than it used to be. And I appreciate the fact that you've chosen that as a profession, that you care that much to give your life to this. And kids need that, and they are getting it from you, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay.
I would concur with everything that's been said so far. I want to acknowledge, John, what you said about our legislative situation. And I don't know, it seems to be a war on public education in a number of ways. So keep fighting the good fight, keep voting. That's the only way we're going to make changes, is to make changes. But I just wanted to acknowledge that. And I have to welcome back Amy.
Yeah.
We're so happy to have you back. You look wonderful. We're so happy to have you back. You're welcome.
Okay, I don't have anything, so Dr. Hare?
Just board, thanks for letting me pinch hit tonight for Dr. Mellon. Thanks to the administrative team for their support today and getting ready. Echo, Amy, glad to have you back. We really are glad to have you back. Great to see you. John, thanks to your team and everything that you've done. With that, appreciate it. Thanks to everyone. Thank you.
Great job, Travis.
Thank you.
All right, so we are down to adjournment. We have a motion.
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Perkins, and thank you, Ms. Zolman. All in favor? 6-0, good night.